Anderson has been a big part of that, the senior on the back line.
Yeah, he had a goal and an assist in an October 14th match at the University of Maryland. Huge result. And then a goal in the 3-2 win against Ohio State to close the regular year and put them in position for the Big Ten tournament.
We are all set to go here in Piscataway. Rutgers in the black uniforms, Wisconsin in the reds. The winner of this gets the winner of the 3-6 match, rather. Ohio State and Michigan State taking place right now in Columbus. 4 semifinal matches, and they are all going on at this same point.
That's the only way to do it. All 7 p.m. Eastern kickoffs, 4 quarterfinal matches, and we'll get a chance to track it throughout the match.
Rutgers the 2 seed here, Wisconsin the 7. Again, Wisconsin started the Big Ten slate very poorly. They lost their first 3 league games, but it has been a remarkable turnaround. Rutgers with the first possession. Tommy DeVizio, one of the veterans on this team, bending it into the box. And that shot goes wide from Jason Beruggi, one of the 6 Scarlet Knights to earn all Big Ten honors. What a year it's been for Beruggi with 14 points.
One area Jim McElderry hopes to exploit is the overloads on the wide areas, especially on DeVizio's side. We got an example of it there. His quick overlap around the young Jackson Temple. And Temple, you'll see him kind of planted a little bit more inside to give DeVizio some room to attack on the flank.
Wisconsin trying to build forward. Max Keenan was lurking there, a junior from the state of Michigan in his first season at Wisconsin, who has been their top guy offensively, 7 goals and 16 points. Now, as you could probably glean, the All Big Ten honors came out earlier today. 2 of them for Wisconsin. 6 different guys earning 8 different honors for Rutgers. But the big one for Wisconsin, Keenan, second team All Big Ten. And there is Tommy DeVizio to throw in. One of 9 seniors on the Rutgers side, 8 on the Wisconsin side. And we're now at the point in the season where players start to think about winning or going home for good if you're one of those veterans.
And for Wisconsin, Dom, their fortunes turned when their head coach he's Neil Jones, elected to move out of a 3-4-3 shape into a 4-back system. They simply weren't getting results, and they figured the personnel might be more suited. And the one guy who's really been impactful off the switch, he went from a wing back into the center of the park, and that's Aaron Syverson, number 6, 6'5", Reykjavik, Iceland, and you want to especially be aware of him if you're Rutgers on set-piece situations. It's honestly strategic that Rutgers will try desperately not to give up corner kicks or free kicks in those goal-scoring areas.
A Rutgers team that has played in a lot of high-scoring games. It's worth mentioning that, too, off the top. The Big Ten leaders in scoring, but second to last in the conference in goals against average. As that ball runs out of play. And it'll be a goal kick for Rutgers freshman in net, Kieran Dalton. Got 2 keepers tonight making their Big Ten tournament debuts. Dalton, a Big Ten all-freshman team honoree. And Carter Abbott, who had a nice year, but no all Big Ten accolades. Second best in the conference in goals against average. He's the starter for Wisconsin.
A bit cagey here in the early going. I think that's standard practice. I mean, if you go back to their regular season match when Rutgers got the 2-0 win, 20 minutes in, Wisconsin went down on a red card to 10 men. So you really can't look at that match too closely as far as trying to figure out what might happen tonight. And that was back when Wisconsin was in that 3-back system. So they've changed their shape. They've put this big kid in the midfield, and it's helped change the course of their season.
Going over the top, and there is Myers, the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, finding Temple, his old buddy from the Philly Union Academy. Now it's clipped out of play off a Wisconsin player, and so to go for a corner.
Well, Jackson Temple early on has helped put Rutgers put a lot of pressure on the Wisconsin goal just through his energy and dynamic dribble. Best looking chance of the game was the Divisio overlap early on around Temple, and then the service. And now Avila with the corner.
Bends it wide of the 6. Booming in from the far side of the box. That was a great look from Matthew Acosta, who scored his first career goal a couple games ago in a win over Penn State on the road. Got a good look at that.
A bouncing ball, and Acosta did very well to keep it low and on target. And the keeper did a wonderful job, Abbott, not only making the save, but pushing it out of danger.
Rutgers stays on the front foot offensively, but now cleared away. Good work on the back line by Wisconsin. That was Elliot Popkowitz, junior back.
So you're seeing Hugo Legwenick. He wears the number 4. He's the left central defender, getting deep into the Wisconsin end. And it's a numbers game. It always is in soccer. And the 21 up top for Wisconsin, Wempler, he's by himself, and they really had 9 players behind the ball. So it's incumbent on Rutgers to recognize that and get an additional attacker. That time it was Legwenick.
Runs over the head of Temple, and so it'll be a deep Wisconsin throw in here. Just getting settled in. A little more than 6 minutes gone by in the opening half of this Big Ten tournament quarterfinal battle. The 2-seed Rutgers and the 7-seed Wisconsin playing for the right to play Wednesday in the semifinals.
I'm glad to hear you're all settled, Dom. Everything good?
Are you settled?
I'm settled.
Good. And hope those of us.
What a wonderful night. You know, I went to the Jersey Shore today and sat on the beach and read a book with my feet in the sand. That's the kind of day it was in Jersey on November the 3rd. How about that?
Got above 70 degrees here. It is really a nice night. Does not feel like a postseason soccer night with the weather. A little heel touch here from Myers to set up Brugge, who's into the box. Myers trying to cut it to the top. Avila was in the vicinity, but he was not expecting that pass, and so Rutgers backtracks here with Acosta.
We saw Myers. He just took a little scan over his right shoulder, knew Brugge was trailing, and that's where he just rolled it back to see if maybe he could get a take on goal. And what would happen then is Myers was ready to pounce on any sort of rebound, just advancing towards goal.
I want to highlight something, too, Glenn, that you mentioned early in this broadcast about Rutgers and its RPI and its NCAA tournament stakes. For both teams, it is win or go home tonight, truly. And neither team in a position at this point for an at-large bid. For Wisconsin, with an RPI of 99 coming into play today, their only hope of making the NCAA tournament is to win the Big Ten tournament. Now, for Rutgers, they get past Wisconsin and perhaps a chance by just getting to the semifinals, especially if that was against Ohio State. But all of that to say, Rutgers still needs to earn a win or two here to extend its season. Now, good work here by Chris Teo to free this open, trying to curl it in, but it's deflected, and the Badgers tend to it pretty nicely.
Well, it's a particularly bright start for Rutgers. Talked about the caginess maybe of the opening minutes, but Rutgers has played their way into the game, and you see on the flanks now on the left side, Teo working a combination to get in. So for Rutgers, that could well be where the game is won and lost. Their effectiveness, not only getting in the wide areas, but then what kind of delivery they have for M.D. Myers in the box.
Two shots so far for Rutgers, and Wisconsin has not really had any possession inside of 30 yards of the box. Perhaps a chance for the Badgers to change that here as they back pass it all the way to the center backs. Knocked down nicely and now centered for Tim Bialik, one of the captains of this Badger team. Kept in play here by Popkowitz, and it'll stay with Wisconsin.
And a big part of this time of the year is a team's health. And for Rutgers University, it's a very healthy squad. Nico Rosamilia, the only regular who has been out with the quad, and he trained 2 days ago, so actually yesterday. So not sure what his playing status will be tonight, but he would be the only one that's down for Rutgers.
Crothers comes flying in, clips it away. It'll stay with Wisconsin.
And I think credit to Jim McElderry and his staff for managing the minutes of players like a Jackson Temple. Myers just doesn't seem to need a break, so I'm not sure how to quite read that. You don't want to take a guy like that off the pitch, but someone like Temple who puts in so much acceleration energy into the game and has such a great work ethic.
Nicely done there. Jack Finnegan curled that back towards the box. Cleared away. I maybe see some of that acceleration energy here as Avila tried to play it. Just knocked it off of a Badger and ends up all the way back with Abbott. Now, it's a Rutgers team that this year in particular has prioritized an up-tempo pace of play. I felt coming into the season that they had plenty of offensive contributors. That's proven to be the case for sure, averaging more than 2 goals a game. And so they've suited their style to that. Myers coming back to win possession, and Crothers trying to chase away Bialik.
Well, right now the Rutgers midfield, Acosta, Carruthers, Barugi, they're having the best of it against Wisconsin. And the reason that's important is because you've got a single striker, Wampler, up there. They're trying to play the ball to him there now. Rutgers will get the throw, but he's the 21 up there, standing in between the Rutgers center backs, and he's been on an island a couple of times trying to make things happen, and the dominant midfield is certainly going to aid Rutgers' efforts tonight.
Throw in there for T.O. right in front of the Cavalry, new student section that Rutgers Marketing has organized this past month, trying to build that as they go here with this men's soccer program building something too. Now Wisconsin building an attack as Finnegan had it knocked away. Did it come off of his foot? No, it's going to go off of Rutgers in for a corner. First one of the night for the Badgers.
Rare mistake of the midfield from Acosta. Just tried to sweep a pass in one and mishit it. And it went right into the number 7, Finnegan, and he's the one that generated the attack eventually that led to this corner.
First scoring chance of the night for Wisconsin, and they opt to play this short. There's Popkowitz. Oh, it's settled in the box. The shot attempt from Drew Brown doesn't get through. Good shoulder charge there from Popkowitz. Keeps it with the Badgers, too.
Every corner successfully defended will receive the applause from the Rutgers coaching staff. It is an area where Wisconsin has strengths. Great air game. 2 of their midfielders and 2 of their top attacking players, or guys who a lot of the play is run through, is Iribarren, the number 3, and Syverson, the number 6, a couple of internationals. Pamplona, Spain is where Iribarren is from, and Syverson from Reykjavik, Iceland. One of my favorite places, Tom. Been there a couple of times recruiting when I was the Rutgers coach. And was there in March, I think. It was 24 hours light when I was there. Wow. It was very odd. It's that part of the world where I wasn't there the time of year when it was dark for 24 hours. So that was good.
Well, the game's paused here. This is Jack Finnegan for Wisconsin, one of their leading scorers, who was standing, and then a few moments before our official, Dimitrios Katsimingos, was going to restart play, Finnegan crumpled down to the turf and now being tended to by the Wisconsin trainer, Chris Perutka. So Wisconsin team that is 6th in the Big Ten in scoring, averaging 1.5 goals per game. And I say that because Finnegan is one of their top scorers, 4 goals and 12 points. He has been a key part of the attack that they have generated. He's on his feet, but not very mobile. wobbling now as he comes off the pitch very slowly. So Wisconsin will have to substitute much earlier than Neil Jones, the first-year head coach, would have liked.
Yeah, less than 15 minutes gone by, and you already have to make your first move. And player coming in, receiving the sort of instructions that are very critical. That is set piece in particular. Mitchell Dryden from Milwaukee.
All right, just a freshman. So some youth onto the pitch here for the Badgers in the 14th minute of play. Nice string of possession here for Wisconsin after Rutgers controlled the first 10 minutes. But the Badgers now trying to produce off of that. Solid turnout here at Earsack Field of Rutgers faithful. A few Wisconsin folks here too, tailgating before the game started. And I say that because you could hear the discontent among the Rutgers supporters as Popkowitz gets ready for the Wisconsin throw-in. He gets good distance on it. Oh, it bounces in the box, and finally Avila, not quite gracefully, but does the trick there to clear, at least for the moment. And now that's flicked away with the back heel of Teo. And finally an assertion from Dalton to get it out of play.
Well, Dalton was unclear. I mean, he thought that was not an intentional back pass to the keeper, but rather than take a chance, Dalton just clobbered it into touch on the far side of the pitch.
Again, Wisconsin stays around the box, but Crothers works it away from Bialik.
Well, Wisconsin, they pushed a number of players forward once they got the throw-in set piece. And there were just 2 players back in defense against M.D. Myers, but those are still good numbers. If you're +1 to begin any sort of counterattack, those are good numbers.
Joey Zielinski, one of the Rutgers center backs, has it. Scarlet Knights are having quite a bit of difficulty unlocking it from this side of the field. And now boomed forward. There is Dryden. And it's knocked towards Dalton, and he restarts quickly. Nicely handled there from DeVizio. DeVizio, the longest tenured player on this team, a 5-year starter, making his 67th appearance in the starting 11. I mention that because he's one of those guys you think about on a night like tonight. And Wisconsin has a couple as well, including Matt Chandler, the St. John's grad transfer. But guys who are playing for their college soccer lives tonight.
And DeVizio, the crowd went crazy when he pulled a Cruyff, but it was actually, it's the proper thing to do in that situation, pulling that ball in behind and then getting it away for the defender. But it also has a little class to it, too. And
Temple. That service was deflected, and now it finds Crothers. Sticks with it, and shot stopped before the box. The Scarlet Knights stay with it. Here's Temple, laying it off for DeVizio. Brugge wanted to, Teo wanted to tee it up. And now it's Rutgers doing a nice job of keeping the ball around the penalty area. Wisconsin getting 10 of their 11 behind the ball in that instance to flood the top of the box. And finally, they force Rutgers to retreat.
Well, again, Wampler's all by himself up there. He had 2 players around him. Then a third came in, and that's when he was dispossessed. Well, you have to be encouraged if you're a Rutgers supporter viewing this. Rutgers does have a good control of the match. The shots are 3-0 in favor of Rutgers, and Wisconsin's best chances or getting near the goal or providing some sort of issue where Rutgers has to be aware was both times off of set pieces, corner and a throw-in.
Running it through, Myers trying to get onto it, and it's tackled away. Matt Chandler mentioned the grad transfer, and there's a reason he was an instant captain. Veteran in the locker room and the ability to man the defense like that. robbing Myers of a goal-scoring chance. But Rutgers persists as Temple pops it for DeVizio. And Abbott goes down, but it looked like Dalton got bumped into Abbott.
Well, there was a fair collision, and the referee made the proper call to stop the play. Keeper banged up. I think he's going to be fine. But earlier, the ball played through to Myers from Avila. It was wonderful. As a midfielder, your job is to look up and then see how the defense is positioned. And that back group, there were seams, and he played it between two defenders, did Avila, to put Myers in. But you described it so wonderfully well. Chandler, just a great, well-timed sliding tackle. Perfect against Myers to prevent the Big Ten's leading goal scorer from getting in on goal.
Chandler, a guy who has postseason experience. Went to 2 NCAA tournaments in his time with the Red Storm, not all that far from here in New York City. That includes a Sweet 16 run his freshman season in 2019. There's Syverson. It's a dangerous cross driven in.
Hey, you see he's very comfortable on the flank. That's where he spent a majority of his time this year for Wisconsin, in a wide area. On the left, you can see he's got a natural left peg. Spun one in that was very difficult to defend.
Now, first time we see Syverson make an impact on the game, but something that Wisconsin will hope to get him involved with more often.
Well, they're huge in the midfield. I mean, the Spaniard Iribarren is 6'2". Syverson is 6'5". So Rutgers, considering that, keep the ball on the deck, play it in front of them, play it around them, but keep it out of the air in terms of trying to find MD Myers.
That's Drew Brown, freshman defender, surveying. Much more patient here from Wisconsin. Not handled well enough there. Max Keenan looked like it initially clipped off his chin. And so it goes for a goal kick. All square as we near the 20-minute mark in this Big Ten quarterfinal match. The 2-seed Rutgers and the 7-seed Wisconsin. Scarlet Knights 4-4-2 in Big Ten regular season play. And Wisconsin 3-4-1. That's a Rutgers team that, with a different result against Maryland, would have won the conference in the regular season. I may remember back a couple of weeks ago, the Terrapins, on a rain-soaked practice field here, had a come-from-behind win over Rutgers. Now, meanwhile, for Wisconsin, a team that had no points after its first 3 matches in league play, able to get in on the back of 3 wins in its final 5 conference games. That's costly here from Le Guenic, a giveaway. Wisconsin did not do well enough to move on it quickly.
Yeah, that was a straight giveaway, but Bialik, the small guy in the midfield with the 2 towering players in behind him as they play essentially 2 in the hole, 2 number 6s, and the number 10 indeed is playing the number 10, Tim Bialik. But he looked up and, again, saw numbers to try to attack and was trying to maybe bring more of his teammates into it. And Rutgers, high energy in winning the ball back.
Well, you should not need any additional motivation once you get into the postseason, especially with both teams, as we've talked about, in win-or-go-home mode, with no chance for either at this point of an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. But for Rutgers, maybe a little bit more added to that when you consider their final regular season results. A 1-0 loss to UCLA in a match where Rutgers outshot the Bruins 3-1. Maybe a chance here as Myers tried to turn it towards goal. It deflected to the top of the box. And now DeVizio collects it among the Scarlet Knights, who's been quite active here in the opening 20. Temple. Pacing to the area. Looking to get it to his left foot. Stays on the ball. And the bending shot there was deflected away.
Just too many maroon shirts in front of the goal. Jackson Temple had nowhere to shoot. He evaded the initial pressure and got into the area and was free for the shot, but there was so much in front of him. But he and DeVizio on this right side, they've enjoyed a lot of success. That's an area Rutgers should continue to exploit.
Temple, a career year for a guy who it feels like has been at Rutgers for an eon because he started as a true freshman 4 years ago. Career high 17 points. It includes 5 goals. And now trying to convert that scoring into some Big Ten tournament success. Here's Avila. Does well to win possession. Jukes a defender, and it's knocked away. Now Carter Abbott has had a nice first half in goal.
Well, that right there was Acosta and Tio having a relationship. Acosta lifted his head up after winning the ball, and then Tio just took off on the left flank. Acosta spotted him, and Tio, technically, to bring that ball down, that was very difficult on the short hop, and he did it so well, and then slipped the ball through to Avila, and it hit the outside of the post, ricocheted away, and Wisconsin escapes.
Yeah, you're right. The credit there, not to Abbott, goes to the post standing to his right. Rutgers now 5 shots. None for Wisconsin so far. And the possession roughly 60-40 in favor of the Scarlet Knights.
And the winner of this one will play either Michigan State or Ohio State. And 21 minutes in, no score in Columbus, Ohio.
One to watch. If you're watching from the Rutgers point of view, Scarlet Knights earned a last-moment draw at Ohio State. Also had a hard-luck loss to Michigan State, so not sure if there's one you'd prefer to play there. Meanwhile, for Wisconsin, it's tough to talk about them in results just because it's been a tale of 2 seasons for them. But a 1-0 loss at Michigan State. Most recently, perhaps, this is the result you can peg most accurately on Wisconsin. Their final regular season match, a 3-2 win over the now 13th-ranked Buckeyes. Biggest win of the season for Wisconsin. They built well here, and now Popkowitz drives it through the 6. And it comes out the other side for Ryan Keefe, a defensive midi to handle.
Tio did really well on that ball skipping through. He got his body on Keefe first, and then the ball rolled through. And now able to reach a right leg out to try to help Rutgers get it clear. Still not out of danger.
Oh, really well done there by Myers. Just not enough in the way of open passing lanes for Acosta there, who then commits the foul.
Just slightly behind Acosta from Myers, but Acosta, did you see him get the ball in the midfield, play it back to Zielinski, and then he just took off, and the ball was played into his path by Myers. That entrance to Myers, so some really good relationships here, especially in this right chain on this right side of the pitch for Rutgers.
After Acosta ran into Bialik, it seemed like the Rutgers midfielder was the one who got the worst end of the deal. Now, Rutgers has played well and trying to turn their shots into scoring, as was the issue. Mentioned that over the weekend against UCLA. Lay off here for Dryden right by the corner flag, but wasn't able to angle it off to Vizio.
Plus, that was a weak appeal. He knew it. It's a goal kick. Hey, Maryland is hosting top seed against 8th seed. No score, 22 minutes in. Down in Maryland. And look, you have to have fun to forecast the possibilities. Rutgers is the 2 seed. If they can continue to advance through this and Maryland is upset along the way, there's potential for a Big Ten final to be played right here at Yersack Field. Now, I'm just, I don't believe in jinxes. I'm just saying. That's a pretty cool thing to look forward to.
Yeah, Rutgers is the 2 seed. If they win today, they'll get to host the semifinal, no matter who their opponent is. And depending on if Maryland is still in, if UMD is still in it, by the time Rutgers would get to a championship game. And that could be all the way through here in Piscataway. This is unique territory for the Scarlet Knights since joining the Big Ten in 2014. They've had a couple of solid years, one good year since joining the conference. That was 2015. Went to the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament for their one and only time. Also advanced to the second round of the NCAA tournament. It was a PK win over LIU Brooklyn in the first round here at Ursack Field. And then a loss to Akron in the second round.
Also, no score at Indiana, number 4 Indiana against Penn State. So these games all kicked off simultaneously. So we're waiting for our first goal of the evening here,
yeah.
Tom.
100 combined minutes of soccer, and nobody scored anything in the Big Ten so far. Ironic, too, when you look at the history between these two programs, admittedly relatively recent, didn't play much until Rutgers joined the same conference as the Badgers. Now, they've met twice in the Big Ten tournament, and both games have been zany. Each game with at least 7 combined goals. Last time they met, Wisconsin won 6-3 in the first round in 2018. Rutgers led by 2 goals at one point. The Badgers scored the final 5 in that match to win. Now, this match so far not keeping up to the high-scoring pace.
Well, you'd have to say one thing, Wisconsin, part of their game plan is to keep the ball away from M.D. Myers, keep it off his feet, try to deny entrance, and they've done a pretty good job doing that. Myers' best opportunity was a ball through and behind when Wisconsin was caught a little bit high up the pitch and flat. Avila found Myers behind, but a great sliding tackle, well-timed by Chandler, prevented any breakaway for Myers. But Wisconsin, the other thing you can see as the half has progressed, they've started to press a little bit higher up the field. And that's what's resulted in what they get here, which is going to be a free kick. Or is it a throw?
That'll be a free kick. Yeah, there we go, right there.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just couple of slow-moving players there for a moment, and the referee not giving the mechanics necessary.
Aaron Syverson on the ball here, so the 6'5" back will not play a role on the header, who will provide the service with the left foot, slicing it into the 6, and Dalton with the left fist knocks it away. A knuckling ball back in. No chance there for Inaki Iri-Barin, the other tall figure in the box.
Well, Popkowitz obviously has a left foot. He just showed us there. He's the left back that drove that ball across, a little bit too much on it. Now, I'm not going to question the coach because, Neil Jones is with these players each day. He works on different set pieces. But how do you not have a 6'5" guy in front of the goal? Yes, he's got that delicate touch with the left foot. You could see it there. He bent it in. It's a dangerous ball. But my word, 6'5", and he's serving the ball.
Now using Syverson for the service rather than the finish.
But it's part of it's his delivery, and there are other. I don't know Wisconsin well enough to know how good they are in the air on a consistent basis. So, like I said, we could always question things, but I trust the coaches who are with their teams each day.
Now past the half-hour mark, some substitutions for both teams. For Wisconsin, Michael Wampler is off, and Ignacio Marquez is in. That's a swap on the attacking side. And for Rutgers, 2 offensive-minded changes as well. Ian Abbey and Ula Mayland are both in. Jackson Temple and Pablo Avila off for the final 15 minutes. Abbey, worth mentioning, one of Rutgers' all-Big Ten honorees, named to the all-freshman team. He's in good form. Goals in back-to-back games against Michigan and Penn State.
Well, Syverson was in for that throw, and he was the second player targeting up at the edge of the 6 off that long throw. It's interesting, both throws by Popkowitz, the long throws, had a bit of a spiral. Things have changed over the years. Normally, if there was any spin on the ball at all, like a quarterback spiral, it was always called a foul throw. I haven't seen a foul throw called, I don't remember when, for spin on the ball off a throw. Supposed to be no spin on the ball, Dom. That being said, it was misjudged by Syverson because the player in front of him screened him for a moment. Sorry, Dom.
No, it's okay. Such an arcane rule. I didn't know it was a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
At times in my career, remember shouting for the sideline something to the effect, Joe Namath doesn't throw a spiral like that.
Good to know you come out strongly in the anti-spin throw side.
Well, it's technique. You work on the proper technique. And with the reason it's there is that you can obviously throw the ball longer, a greater distance, if you can use one hand, with a majority of the push through. It's kind of a leverage thing, and you can get the ball deeper. But we've also seen obviously people throw it improperly and get monumental distance on it. So you just learn the technique.
Malin navigates his way towards Abbey. He's inside the area. T.O. from distance, and it's knocked down there by Chandler, who has another blocked shot.
Rutgers needs to find a way to get the Wisconsin back group to face their own goal through some sort of, whether it's in the run of play, and that's more specifically what I'm talking to. And one of the ways you do that is driving to the end line. If you can't find anything to play through, some of these shots, the selection of these shots, they're struck well, but there are so many bodies in front of the goal. So maybe you come up with one more pass, but you drive to the end line, diagonal service, those sorts of things.
Rutgers with 5 shots and I don't know how many attempts at service or attempts at balls around the area. And a lot of this being interrupted by the 6 or 7 Badgers congested in the area. Now Myers headed that looking for a teammate, but Abbey not there on the opposite end of the box.
Well, Abbey started slow in his pursuit of that. As that ball is in the air, what you need to do as the winger is assume that Myers is going to win the ball. And he's seen it time and time again. So he nods that little header, and Abbey, he started his sprint just too late. And the thing is, Dom, if Abbey runs and Myers doesn't win the ball or it starts going back the other way, you know what? You recover. That's it. So you have to make that hard attacking run, and just understand.
Brugi eluding one defender. Myers tried to get it back to him, and our official says to get up, as now Teal commits the foul, and it's Marquez who goes down. Quick restart here for Wisconsin, trying to catch Rutgers out of position, but Joey Zielinski there with a clean tackle. And again, that idea of recover, Wisconsin immediately sprints behind the ball. And now all 11, including Bialik, get inside of 35, 40 yards of the box, or of the goal.
Well, one of their targets on these set pieces has been Chandler at the back, so he's a big body. Brown also next to him on the left. Those are the 2 central defenders. There's good size in there, and then when you drop their midfielders in, Irabaran and Syverson, it's a big group in there to try to get through. Trying to get through. You've got to go around them, maybe, around the edge. And we remarked earlier, Dom, this right side in particular, it was Jackson Temple and DeVizio working some good combination play.
Now that ball drifts on Abbey too much. No chance for him at that. Now Rutgers had the front foot for the first 10 minutes basically straight through. Elicited a shot pretty early on from Matty Acosta that was saved by Carter Abbott. Wisconsin leveled it from there, and things have been much more even since. Certainly in comparison, a lot more even. We're down now under 8.5 minutes to go in the first half. Scoreless. Rutgers with 5 shots, Wisconsin none. Rutgers with the majority of the possession as the Scarlet Knights look to win at home. Just the second time in Big Ten program history they're hosting a Big Ten tournament game. And like a lot of things for this Rutgers team, the last time they did that, in the 2015 season, the last time they went to the NCAA tournament. It's Keefe on the throw in here.
And that was the big center back, Chandler, who's now recovering. I thought he might stay home for a little while, but he had that little back heel flick that could have proven to be dangerous. Now Chandler will come back into the mix off this long throw.
Keefe once again. And again, good distance on it. But the foul committed by Erie Barron.
Wisconsin, they seem to represent Big Ten soccer as I remember it years ago. When I was part of the Big East, you'd look at the Big Ten, and it was these big, strong kids, not necessarily great creative play, but they got the little things done, and they were massive on set pieces because of their size and strength and their competitiveness. And that's what this Wisconsin team reminds me of. That's not to say that they don't have good players on the pitch. It's just I'm just watching it straightforward. They don't have a single shot on goal. They haven't done really anything during the run of play except get it into the Rutgers end and then earn the throws in the corner. So there's something to be said for that, and that's part of the calculation and the game plan as to how we got to figure out to get into Rutgers end and get these dead ball situations where we know we could be successful.
It's like Big Ten basketball and football. We talk so much about it. Physical, tall, not always the fastest pace. Certainly in comparison to other conferences. But it's been a nice season for the Big Ten. Maryland, with the last update, ranked as one of the teams that will receive a bye in the NCAA tournament, according to the latest projections. As it stands right now, Indiana and Ohio State expected to get in. Now, a chance here now for the Badgers. This ball pinballs around. Dalton knocks it away to make his first stop. Still persisting here. It's laid back, and Rutgers comes up with a block that Wisconsin wanted a handball on, and then finally it's boomed over the crossbar. Frantic in the box there for the Rutgers defense. Wisconsin had a great chance. It's best of the half.
Well, the right side of the attack, very good for Wisconsin, and anything they've generated, it's been more so from that side of the pitch. And that was a moment where the Rutgers keeper needed to come up big, and he did. Kieran Dalton, just a bit of a reflex save in there on a redirected ball. That's all you have to do when a ball comes in at pace. You just have to kind of deflect it, redirect it, get it on frame somewhere, and it's very tough for the keeper. Almost always a rebound, and Dalton did so well to not only save it, but make sure that there was no dangerous rebound attempts.
Dalton, the all-freshman Big Ten awardee. Product of the Red Bulls Academy, where he got his first call-up to the Red Bull 2 roster when he was just 16 years old. Part of a platoon at the goalkeeper spot for the first nearly 2 months of the season. As we get a foul here, and it looks like we'll get our first booking of the night as well. Our referee, Dimitrios Katsimingos.
The yellow card's going to be on Syverson for dragging down Randy Aronis on the pitch for Rutgers, and it's an extended list of complaints from the head coach, Neil Jones, which if it's on that particular call is not really founded. Now, if he's asking about other things that have occurred during the match that were similar and weren't called, that is a yellow card in every game in men's, women's, pro, amateur.
Jones pointing to the Wisconsin offensive side of the pitch, so I wonder if that's the argument. They're going to win a call for his side as well. So Syverson, one of Wisconsin's top players, in the book with a yellow here in the 41st.
And the issue there is that he's a holding midfielder. I mean, we've seen him in a lot of different positions on the pitch, but defensively, he's in the middle of the park trying to prevent things like players dribbling in to the final third area of the field. And a lot of times that's an area, if you look across the board, the holding midfielders in particular normally lead the league in yellow cards.
Myers out of position there. We don't often see him playing out wide on the edge of the box and trying to create with some service. But Wisconsin, again, there's just so many players stuffed into the area that it makes it difficult for Rutgers to produce offense, to connect those final passes.
Yeah, Myers is running that right channel to that's what eventually put him out a little wider. So he's trying to be the creator. And because in the middle of the goal, where maybe he can hit one on the deck for Acosta to run onto, or Brugge, or now it's Aronis in goal out of the midfield. So
yeah, Aronis in for Brugge, as you mentioned a couple of moments ago. Now Rutgers still trying to get their unanimous Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year going, looking for his first shot registered tonight. Now, of course, he's the focal point of every scouting report. He scored a goal in 5 of the 8 Big Ten games. At one point, had a 6-game streak in which he scored a goal in each.
That's good. And we finally have a goal in the Big Ten quarterfinals tonight. Indiana went up on Penn State in the first half. There's 5 minutes left there. Ryan Wittenbrink with the goal. So let's give him credit for first quarterfinal goal of 2022. I don't know if that's a record. You know, does it go into record books for that? But
yeah, the other
trivia. It'll just be trivia.
Yeah, there you go. The other 3 still scoreless. That, by the way, a miserable 4-5 game. Indiana, the 4. Penn State, nearly a top 25 RPI team at one point in the season. The 5.
Yeah.
Yikes. I know a 4-5 game, obviously,
good match.
Should be the toughest on paper, but, man, that is just especially brutal, it seems like. Indiana, a team that I believe on the final day of the season had a chance to win the Big Ten regular season still. Now, Rutgers has been trying to go direct to that forward line, and more specifically direct to Myers, with service from Zielinski in particular. He's not able to get that to work. You've got the 6'6" Matt Chandler working there. Now Wisconsin takes it away in the midfield. Now his persisting run and finally results in a foul. Erie Barron does well to win this for the Badgers. And this will put Randy
Aronis
yeah,
will be in
Aronis in the book. It was DeVizio arguing on behalf of his senior teammate.
Well, that's a poor ball out of the back, which helped generate that. Really, Iribarren didn't do anything special. He was organized and was in a spot, again, in the middle of the field. Rutgers forcing it, and a clear interception for Iribarren. And then eventually he carried in and drew the foul, and now the 6'5". This is less where you need the big guy in there from this angle. If he could whip it into that corridor of uncertainty in front of the keeper, Dalton for Rutgers, and behind the Rutgers line, and the runners stay in an onside position, this is a very, very dangerous position for a free kick.
61 seconds to go before halftime, and a chance for Wisconsin to claim momentum. Syverson curls it in, but it was Tio with the first header there for Rutgers.
Well, the kind of a floating curler from Syverson, I would expect more and think it would be a lot more dangerous to hit that really firm in behind.
Now Crothers has the midfield takeaway. Abbey trying to lift it forward with Myers splitting the center backs, but it didn't work out. And now Carter Abbott will settle it. 25 seconds to go in the first half, and we'll try to wind out the final few moments of this first half. Now, one that saw Rutgers register the first 5 shots, Wisconsin the final 4 over the last 5 minutes or so. In what started as a Rutgers heavy half, that Wisconsin balanced out pretty nicely.
Yeah, it's going to be a 45 minutes to evaluate on both sides, but Wisconsin and their coach, Neil Jones, I think will be pretty satisfied to have it level, and that might even be the way they, you don't tell your team, hey, if it's tied the half, great, but as a staff, you might think, okay, good. Now they could go in and plan the second 45 minutes. For Jim McElderry and Rutgers, they need to.
Rutgers with its best ever finish in the Big Ten, the 2 seed, and now looking for its first conference tournament win since 2015. Wisconsin just getting in on the final week of the season to join this Big Ten tournament field, looking for its first postseason win since 2018. And it'll be Rutgers with the early throw-in.
And Marquez getting a start in the second half in that 11 for Neil Best's team. Neil Jones, rather. Who's Neil Best?
I don't know.
Is that a musician?
That's a good question. Well, that is Ignacy Marquez trying to work his way in on the far side of the box. A Wisconsin team that did not strike quickly in the first half. A much more patient team, as Glenn alluded to. Now, Rutgers had a great run of play there in the opening 10 minutes or so of the half. Just could not convert that into a goal.
And Jim McElderry electing to go with the wingers who came in towards the tail end of the first half. Ian Abbey and Ula Malin. Abbey on the right, Malin on the left. And Crothers pressuring the ball.
And not much distance on that Carter Abbott attempt of clearance. But reclaimed nicely by Wisconsin. Rutgers team looking for its first Big Ten tournament win under Jim McElderry, who is high on the potential of this bunch, but has a Rutgers program in search of a breakthrough. Back-to-back seasons where the Scarlet Knights finished 5th in the Big Ten. They've known from the outset, from back in the summer, that they had the veterans, they had the offense to produce a high-caliber year. And now trying to turn that into the results. It's proof time here in November. Tio taken down. Our referee plays advantage. Now that advantage fizzles out as Wisconsin now has a throw-in.
Well, one thing that I noticed how Wisconsin is setting up defensively with a back 4 and then 2 holders, 2 holding midfielders, but it's a 4-4-1-1 or a 4-4-2, however you want to diagnose that. But there is space between the midfield line and the back line for M.D. Myers maybe to get into that pocket, or if they track him, then make sure that Barugi, number 18, who you may be tracking in a moment once he gets in the camera, but you might be able to see him sit right between the 2 big midfielders for Wisconsin and the back 4. There it is, receiving right there, right in the pocket. So that's something the Rutgers can exploit.
A bit of aggression there from Ula Mayland as he commits the foul and scratches all of this out.
So that's Syverson and Iribaran, the number 6 and number 3, in the midfield for Wisconsin. And you saw Barugi sat in there nicely. He's got to be patient, wait for the ball to come hit. You sit right in the middle, right in between where the back 4 is and those 2 holding midfielders. And then if he can receive it on the half turn and go, Now that can create some havoc, unbalance the back line a little bit more. So you can play up the middle, but it's got to be in a calculated way.
Brugge's been a revelation for this Rutgers team. 1 point as a reserve last year. Second team All-Big Tenner this year, is one of the conference leaders in points. A great run here from Ryan Keefe. Works into the box, cut it back across the goal, and in the end, Dalton knocks it away. This next try knocked on the goal line. It's not by Dalton, though. It's by Hugo Legwenick, who keeps it out of goal. Oh, the senior center back with a vital stop there, inches away from the goal line.
Ryan Keefe driving in on the right side. He wears the number 17 for Wisconsin. He's the one that created there. And, yeah, the save off the line. But initially, it was Dalton also pushing one away. It was Zielinski who tried to maybe just toe poke the ball to his right and get it out of danger. Well, it was right towards goal, and Dalton really needed to just push it out of the frame.
I won't get official credit for it, but Legwenick, the 4-year starter at center back, with a crucial intervention there, preventing this from being a 1-0 Wisconsin lead on the efforts from Elliot Popkowitz. Seemed like a pretty clear hold there as Brugge was slowed up for a moment by the bigger Syverson. Rutgers keeps it. It seemed like Brugge was a step late on that tackle, too, and we just keep playing on. Comes out wide here for Mayland. A firm tackle from Wisconsin to win the ball back. The physicality ratcheting up here in this tournament game, where one team will advance and the other will see its season end tonight. Wisconsin will pull it back.
Good ball movement by Wisconsin. Recognition, not to carry the ball forward into pressure and instead build again. And Rutgers, that's defended well by Zielinski initially, but Rutgers gives it right back.
Syverson distributing to Keenan. So trying to get him involved in the run of play. Wisconsin's top scorer, like Rutgers' top scorer, M.D. Myers, hasn't registered a shot so far.
Well, that was an awkward late tackle. Iribarren on Tio. The foul eventually was called, I believe. Yeah, he's pointing. The referee is asking for the ball to be delivered from a little deeper. Syverson, number 6, that you had commented, it looked like there might have been a hole back at the other end. He's got to be very careful. He had Brugge for a moment and then released. He's on a yellow card, so he's got to be very careful about that.
Yeah, good point. Picked up there in the waning stages of the first half. Abbey dances around several defenders and finds Brugge. It goes screwballing into the box, and Iribarren collects it before Myers can.
So there were 7 Wisconsin players in an area that was about 25 to 30 yards wide and just maybe 7 to 8 to 9 yards deep, and it was just that clump of players that Rutgers is trying to work their way through. You can do some slick dribbling like Abbey, and he beat the initial pressure. Now something else has to happen in order to penetrate.
A good one-time passing to set this up. Abbey drives it to the back post. Not sure it took a deflection. They say it will, and it'll go for a Rutgers corner.
Oh, that's a save. That ball was targeted to the back post, and we saw Abbey from that very same spot. I think it was his first career goal here at URSAC.
And the Michigan match a couple of games ago, mentioned Abbey's been on a roll lately. The back-to-back games with goals, both of them the game-winning goal. Second corner of the night for Rutgers coming here as Mayland takes it. It's into the 6, and it looked like Syverson headed it away as Abbott guides it just wide of the post.
Well, sometimes when you hit a ball like that, as Costa did off the short hop, it goes askew, but it has an odd spin, and that fooled the keeper, but it was over the bar, just landed on the roof of the net, so no issues. We have an entertaining Big Ten quarterfinal here in the second half, Dom. You have to really like the way both teams are playing. It's become very competitive. Wisconsin has built confidence after the early stages when maybe they struggled a bit. They have become more assured of their play, and they've been tough to deal with. They're really tough to get behind, and Rutgers has discovered that. And that Abbey shot was off a turnover in the midfield and then quickly playing the ball forward.
Yeah, a Wisconsin team that is not afraid of its opponent, not afraid of playing on the road, not afraid of playing top competition. And it's got results against quality sides this season. As it goes curling out wide for Keenan. It gets wiped out, but it will go for a corner. And so the second one of the night now for Wisconsin.
All right, here comes the 6'5" Syverson to take the corner. I've already put in my opinion about this, but also with the provisor that I'm not in training.
Syverson does have 4 assists. And he'll look to provide service here.
I had a goal and an assist in the 1-1, rather the 2-2 draw at Maryland. That was a big result to get Wisconsin to this spot.
Syverson, it's in the mixer there, far side of the 6. And then Myers got hit in the face, holding his left eye as he goes down in a heap.
Well, the good delivery from Syverson, and as we continue to suggest with the 6'5" guy, not in the mix off the corner. He can, from that side of the pitch in particular for the in-swinger, he can really put in a good ball, and there are enough good attacking players to help out.
Misplayed initially by Keefe, helping Malin find possession, but Wisconsin recovers, and now Tio's got it. Badgers are fortunate that wasn't anything more than Rutgers' possession in the final third now. It feels like so often in matches like this, 0-0, nearing an hour. Your coaches talk about it in these crunch situations. Whichever team capitalizes on a mistake, or whichever team can play clean soccer or whatever sport you're talking about, is the one that often wins. Something to think about here over the final half hour. What team gets pressured into a mistake? What team able to capitalize on a midfield giveaway or things like that?
Well, Wisconsin is allowing Rutgers to play, and Rutgers should continue to probe until they see something 100%. That's pretty good.
Trying to triangle it back out for Mayland. A goal kick.
That's not bad. And that's the kind of combination play that you need to get in behind this very compact and really stoic back line for Wisconsin. They've been very much up to the task of M.D. Myers and a Rutgers attack that throughout the year in the Big Ten has scored more than any other side. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Leading scorers, Big Ten goals.
More than 2 goals per game averaged by this Rutgers team. Top 25 nationally as well. In addition to leading the Big Ten, Rutgers led the conference in 4 different team offensive statistics, on top of Myers owning the lead in most of the individual stats.
Look at the effort. Myers, he lost the ball initially. The ball played into his feet, and then 4 players enveloped him. He lost the ball. Then it was played back to the keeper, and then Myers took off, and he altered the delivery out of the back for the keeper. Rutgers not able to capitalize on that. But those are the little things that you note about a player like M.D. Myers.
What a year he has had. The second Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year in Rutgers history. Now, one of the best offensive seasons Rutgers has had this side of Y2K, with his 30 points and 13 goals, both of those top 3 nationally. A first-year guy, too, transferring in from High Point University in the Big South Conference. New Jersey guy, though, from Delran, and as instant impact as it gets. But Rutgers gives it away now. And the Badgers favoring that left side. Play it there for a moment. Service from Keefe. Dalton does well there. Read it perfectly. Had to adjust with the cutting run of Popkowitz there on the opposite side.
Yep, you have to decide whether to wait and catch the ball or attack the ball to catch it. And Dalton recognized that he had to attack it. A ball that was floating in the air. Did well there. Clean entrance into M.D. Myers this time. And you see the central defender, Brown, going all the way back into the midfield with him. So knowing that the center backs are tracking Myers, can you get a run out of the second tier, out of the midfield tier, something in behind, in that gap that's been left? And that's one thing that Rutgers needs to be aware of. Is the space out wide, or could it actually be in the gap vacated by the center back who's tracking Myers into the midfield? And that would be Barugi, for him to be alert to that. That relationship between Myers and Barugi. You see Myers trying to find Barugi on that particular layoff.
A good chunk of Rutgers' offense this season, when it hasn't come from Myers scoring the goals, has been sort of by association, as Wisconsin quickly works it to the opposite side of the field, but that headed near the parking lot. Effort there from Erie Barron, and it elicits the first Wisconsin sub of the second half.
Yeah, Erie Barron was in great position, prepared well with the first touch, and then it was just a little awkward for him as he tried to drive that, and you can see both hands going to the top of his head, frustrated with himself on that take.
Updates from around the rest of the Big Ten tournament, as Crothers is disposed of there. It is the same way we found it at halftime. Indiana with a 1-0 lead over Penn State in a 4-5 match. And the other 2 matches scoreless into the second half now. Ohio State, Michigan State, who the winner of this will play. Should it be Rutgers, they'd play that match at home. If it's Wisconsin, either way, that match will be played on the road. And Northwestern Maryland also scoreless. Will we be scoreless anymore? Oh, it's the opposite side of the side netting. The wrong side of it there. It was a great chance for Rutgers, edge of the 18, but could not convert.
What a ball from Ula Malin, just firm, square, and he found Barugi, who prepared the ball beautifully, and you could see he looked up and he was just trying to place it, trying to curl it, and from this side of the pitch, it looked like it could have been in, but it got stuck on that back stanchion outside of the side netting, and that's why you heard the supporters here, a bit of a roar. They thought it was in. And Dom Savino, your trusted play-by-play man, had to pause for a moment.
I want to be correct.
No,
I was quite fooled. I'll admit that.
You did well.
I was still in the middle of looking at what's happening out in College Park with the Terrapins and the Wildcats, where, as I was mentioning, the game's still scoreless. So it's been an offense-free quarterfinal night so far. Save that one Ryan Wittenbrink goal for Indiana. On the bright side, the goalkeeper coaches will be happy, at least to this point.
Well, if it goes to the deepest point in order to advance, then the goalkeeper coaches become it's a little trepidatious at that moment, right? a little nervy. I don't know. I'm going to let you dictate when we start talking about overtime and penalties, but it's a little different this year, so.
Yeah, it is. Maybe after this rush here from Rutgers, as Malin slips a defender, tried to strike it, and was scuffled, in part because he was clipped by Keith. Now holding his calf there as he sits down on the turf.
Yeah, hard to tell whether it was simply the strength of the shot and the follow-through that cramped up the calf a little bit. Yeah, I didn't see any contact, although if there was, it came a little late after the strike.
Another swap here for Wisconsin as Michael Wampler comes in. And Ignacio Marquez, the first half sub, who made the second half start, comes off the pitch. Oh, we were just talking about it. Let's just refresh you on the rules for overtime in the event we get there. Worth keeping in mind. Of course, different this year. No overtimes in the regular season. Should we get to overtime tonight, we'll play the full 20 minutes no matter what. So there's no such thing as a golden goal anymore. No automatic sudden victory goal. They'll play 2 10-minute overtime periods for the duration, just like they do at the international level. And then, of course, if no result there, then we go to a PK.
Well, the only difference on the international level, it's 2 15s
right.
that they play in full. But, yeah, no, those are 2 massive changes. And hence, if I'm not mistaken, I read a statistic, over 40% of the men's matches in NCAA ended in draws.
Wow.
A lot of ties.
A good handling there by Wampler, fresh onto the pitch, and he wins a corner kick.
Well, Wisconsin was 6-6-3 overall. Rutgers 8-4-5. So that's, how many draws would these teams have if there were a golden goal overtime period in the regular year? A lot of those games get decided.
Syverson back on the ball here for the set piece. It's into the 6, but the first header there from the Scarlet Knights. Second try. And finally, Acosta knocks it away as Erie Barron was jostling for it.
Well, Syverson, obviously from this side to the left of the keeper, Dalton, he's been very effective on the corner kicks, delivering with the left, the in-swinger, very difficult to defend, and both times he's taken these kicks recently, it's caused some havoc in the area. And it's not just the first ball, it's the second ball, and even the third or the second phase of the corner kick where Rutgers needs to beware.
A huge intervention there from Ethan Chung as Rutgers tried to break out. They've played for 65 minutes, trying to get some space in the attacking third without 7 Wisconsin defenders, and could have had it there on a counter, but Chung stopped it with one little toe poke.
Ian Abbey, little hesitation move, and then tried to burst pass, and he's a guy that enjoys the 1 versus 1. You see it in training, you see it in the matches, so it's a personality that's very important to have a balance of that sort of guy, and have a guy like that on the wing. Ula Malin, he also enjoys the task of beating defenders off the dribble. And they're both about to come off the pitch. This tends to be the pattern. About midway through the first half, both Malin and Abbey relieve the 2 guys that are taking them right now.
Veterans come on the pitch I've cited this a couple times throughout the season. Pablo Avila and Jackson Temple had a chance to talk with them before the season began, and I remember asking Pablo, why come back? This is his super senior year, using that extra year of eligibility because of COVID. And his response was, why not? We're veteran. We've got tons of players who can score goals. I want to win something, was his response. Well, here we are. Rutgers made it very clear the goal was not just to get to the NCAA tournament. It was to make a move in the tournament. Rutgers right now on the outside looking in with its RPI at 50. And so work to be done.
And the other thing about coming back, and this is not in every instance, but if you're taking graduate classes or if you're in that sort of a framework, it's not always as difficult a schedule just in terms of the amount that you can put into your soccer. So you could almost focus on it a little bit more maybe. You don't have to take the same number of credits, graduate credits, as you do undergrad credits to be eligible to compete in a particular semester.
Yeah, and that is the case for Avila. It's a master's in labor and employment relations, if I remember correctly. This ball goes skipping towards the corner flag, but it'll run out there on Tio. So goal kick. And for Rutgers, it's both Avila and Tommy DeVizio, who was with this Rutgers program, the only guy on this team who was here before Jim McKeldry and his coaching staff got here. Opted to stick around for the next season after McKeldry was hired following DeVizio's freshman year in the winter going into 2019. For Wisconsin, Matt Chandler opting for his 5th year after 4 really quality seasons at St. John's. Wampler turning the corner here. And then laying it off, trying to set up Keenan. Again, still the top scorers for both sides, yet to get going. Keenan for Wisconsin, Myers for Rutgers. They've been involved, but not in the final few stages of play. And that's DeVizio over there, who was hobbled as he got back to his feet.
Here comes Syverson, the 6'5", holding midfielder who might normally be maybe just sitting back, but off these set pieces, especially off the throws, we've seen him. He's posting up. You can see him. He's the big guy. He's on the edge of the 6-yard line. And that's where Popkowitz hopes to be able to launch it to. And he won't score directly off of this if he gets his first head on it. It's about where the second ball goes on the redirect. No one planted at the back post right now. And you see the two big guys, Chandler and Syverson, there at the edge of the 6.
Once again, it's Myers who gets knocked in the head. Erie Barron and Zielinski lingering over Myers. And it looks like it is the Wisconsin captain who will go on the book. So the 2 tallest players for Wisconsin, who we've alluded to quite a bit as figures on set pieces one way or the other, both in the book now with the Yellows, Erie Barron and Syverson.
And both involved in that throw-in, and it was Syverson who got the first flick, and it was Erie Barron who was trying to get on the second ball, and that's when he earned the yellow card for the foul on M.D. Myers. Myers okay, he's back at his striker's spot.
Yellow card has been issued to Wisconsin's number 3, Inaki Erie Barron.
Past the 70-minute mark now of this match. Big Ten quarterfinals, Scarlet Knights and Badgers. Scoreless. Rutgers with 9 shots, Wisconsin 6. Each team with 2 shots on target and 2 saves. As now Jason Beruggi bursts forward, plays it across the 6, and there was nobody home on the back post for Rutgers. If there was, the best chance of the night to score a goal.
Well, the reason Barugi's playing attacking midfield and has all season for Rutgers University is that he's so smart off the ball to his movement, and where he finds the pockets, he did so again there. Wisconsin back the other way.
Wampler, good zigzagging run. Wisconsin did well to burst from box to box there.
But Barugi, with the ability to split the two players defending him in that moment, it was Ryan Keefe, along with the back on that side, Chandler, drives to the end line. And those are the sorts of moments where perhaps his teammates could have gotten themselves into better positions a little deeper, just organize the box if somebody's at the back post.
And now Rutgers the other way. Running in from Myers, trying to stay with the play. He stays on his feet and corrals it. That faces up the goal once again, and his shot's blocked. Now he has had to work through double teams in the second half of the season. Tonight it's been double teams from the outset.
Well, that hard inside dribble by Jackson Temple, that's difficult to defend because that back line in particular, they're trying to sort out where the ball might be played next. And it was a wonderful through ball, very well-measured pass by Jackson Temple to get Myers in. But again, that back line, this time it was Brown who defended Myers so well.
Bouncing ball. It's flicked by Myers with the bottom of his cleat, and it ends up with Abbott. It'll go down as a save. Trying every which way he can. He won't get a chance, rarely at this point in the season, to face the goal and shoot cleanly. So that's his last resort for scoring.
Yep, good ball from Temple. And, yeah, he let it run past his left leg. And then with the back heel of the right, just tried to redirect it. The keeper was strong on that, just in the middle of the goal. But a good attempt by Myers. That's a goal scorer's technique right there. That ball had pace as it was coming into him.
A good one-time passing here to find Barugi. And Rutgers offense starting to hum, but still searching for the end result.
Rutgers had success the last couple of possessions, moving the ball side to side and finding these gaps. And there's Barugi again in that pocket between the midfield and the back line. Myers goes down, no call.
Myers trying to persist through a double team. It seemed he was dispossessed first. And so we play on. Now Wisconsin will make another substitution, that is, here. Mitchell Dryden will come in, and Ethan Chung is out. Worth acknowledging, too, for the Badgers, we have not seen their starting striker, Jack Finnegan, since the opening 15 minutes of the match. Left with an injury. I seem to be hobbling, favoring that left leg. Guy who's got 12 points and is second best on this team. And he's been out. So playing without him for what appears to be the remainder of the night, if he's not resurfaced in the hour since.
Wisconsin has this throw off the substitution, but Rutgers is finding greater success in moving the ball forward into dangerous areas because they're providing side-to-side movement and patience. And by doing that, they're forcing Wisconsin to slide left, slide right, drop, step, and eventually you're going to find the seams and the spaces. And Barugi has read it well, and so have the players on the ball.
This has popped up into a dangerous area. And the Quantic gets to the ball first as Dryden goes over it. Oh, it's whiffed on, but Myers not able to do anything there. Is handled by Chandler. Rarely will you see the center back do that.
True. My first coach always told me, play the miss. Play the miss. So you've got to be anticipating that it is going to happen, even though it might be rare. Myers couldn't recover. Wasn't easy. Great interception here by DeVizio.
Sprinting forward. DeVizio into the box, looking for service. The first shot is stopped, and no rebound attempt as it's cleared away by Wampler. Another save for Carter Abbott, his 4th of the night.
Is that a guy that wants to play one more game in his career or what?
Tommy DeVizio doesn't want to go home quite yet. And by the way, quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this quarterfinal night. All the other scores remain the same. Indiana 1-0. The other two quarterfinals scoreless still. All of them past 65 minutes at least.
Rutgers needs to recognize to move the ball side to side again. Just keep Wisconsin moving defensively. Now they're going to follow the ball, and then you take that moment to split them or maybe beat them off the dribble, whatever it might be. So now you've got to throw in deep. That was all because the point was changed, rather than trying to force something here on the ball side of the field, or closest to us.
It's got to be a bit frustrating here for this Rutgers side. Shut out for the first time in their regular season finale against UCLA, despite outshooting the Bruins by nearly triple. Tonight nearly doubling up Wisconsin in shots, and again, nothing to show for it, as this is a well-thread pass. Keenan cutting back towards the middle. And now gets himself some help here from Marquez, who drives it from distance, and Dalton stops it. A sprawling stop from the freshman keeper keeps it scoreless.
Well, the Spaniard Marquez, he has earned himself some extra time in this game based on his performance coming in off the bench in the first half. And that was a shot that was targeted for the upper corner. Wonderful save by Dalton. And now Rutgers will have to defend another corner, knowing that Syverson delivers a ball that's going to be difficult to handle. And there's a couple of trees in there that Rutgers still needs to deal with.
Again, edge of the 6. So that time it's Zielinski on the first header. Dryden beats the first defender and curls it wide of the back post. Boy, that save from Kieran Dalton, the best of his 3 that he's made tonight. As you would hope from a freshman, we have seen his level of play continue to increase as this season has gone on, and in particular in the now 7 games in a row that he started as the established #1 goalkeeper.
And I would fall short of calling it a spectacular save. That shot came from 25 yards out, so there was time to read it. But his footwork, his explosion at the proper moment, and to push that away. It was a very good save, don't get me wrong. But I always look at it, I'm tough on the keepers. It's a save that he should make. But it was a good save.
Marquez may get another chance. Want a handball, the Badgers get it.
Well, you would think Syverson would take it from this spot, and you would think he's going to rip it on goal. Let's see what happens.
Now, this is quite dangerous distance, 20 or 25 yards away. Pretty straight on.
Marquez has 3 of the 7 shots taken by Wisconsin, and that was their first shot on frame. That was their first ball that had a chance to go in the back of the net from a shot. And so Dalton, that was a big moment.
Syverson, the guy who's taken the set pieces all night, and Marquez, who's been the key striker. It's Syverson, and that is not the way that he wanted to execute. Just scuffed it.
Well, I thought he'd shoot. And I'm sure it's something he's worked on. Whether it's 24 hours dark or light in Iceland, his home country, I'm sure he's taken a lot of free kicks.
Yeah, Syverson in his second year at Wisconsin, though a senior, after a couple of seasons playing in his home country's third division. And I get a feeling when he goes back, if he goes back to play there, it will not be for the third division. It'll be something a little higher than that. Good turn here from Brugge. Locating space. I don't know if he hit the ball or if he was bumped from behind, but there's a very slow pace to his pass.
Keenan just got a little touch on it, and all legal. He came in from behind, but got around just in time. Sometimes you don't make the tackle. Sometimes you don't actually deny the service, but you alter it, and that's what happened there.
Jackson Temple trying to catch up to this. He does. One-timer, knocked down by Chandler in the box, and finally cleared.
1 versus 4 in the area. M.D. Myers against Wisconsin.
And that was deflected off of Wisconsin. Well done there by Divisio. It's a corner.
Rutgers in practice yesterday worked for 60 minutes on mostly corner kicks, some on the defensive side, but mostly on the attacking side. What you might look for here is something at the front post area. This will definitely be set up to redirect in a fashion where it's the second ball that gets finished.
Third one of the night for the Knights. Avila. It's to the front post, and it trickles through the 6. May have taken a very light deflection in its path through the area, but no real contact. As Divisio re-enters, and Abbott's right there like a center fielder.
Well, Wisconsin has the advantage defensively on balls in the air, so one of the reasons you drive it to the front post is that if you can beat even one of the taller fellas to that area, you can get a flick on. And then you have to be alert on the back side, whether it's the back post or whether it deflects towards the top of the area. Matthew Acosta just couldn't get to the spot in time off the very slight glancing header.
Dryden. Nicely done on the on-ball defense from Tio.
That was a really important intervention by Tio and Wynn to give Rutgers possession back, because for a moment, Acosta and Carruthers, they both appeared to be dragging a bit. They just needed a moment, but that ball was received behind them, and Wisconsin was generating what looked like a pretty promising attack.
It's been physicality on those aerial duels between Myers and Chandler. Just saw it a moment ago. I can see both of them coming away just a little tired.
He meant to do that, by the way, if you're just wondering.
Another check at the Big Ten scoreboard. The matchup that is on the same side of the bracket is this: 3-seed Ohio State, 6-seed Michigan State, scoreless, 87th minute. The 1-8 match, Maryland Northwestern, scoreless, 72nd. And it remains 1-0 Indiana, 81st minute against Penn State in the 4-5.
Got some overtime possibilities.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is driving in. Myers gets it to the left foot, and Abbey outpositioned there in the race for the second ball. Nicely done there by Dryden, the striker.
Myers is still down in the area as play continues.
And now very slowly trying to get to his feet and having trouble at doing that. He's hobbling.
I think he might have just been stepped on. He'll be all right.
Temple hoping that Divisio had the inside route there on the heel flick. That didn't, and now Wisconsin with Syverson on the ball. Not numbers here for the Badgers. They're lagging as Dryden now here on the offensive side. And again, Tio wins the one-on-one.
Referee stops the clock. Exactly 5 minutes to play before we get into the overtime. 2 complete 10-minute overtimes. Yeah, there's a number of those situations now here in these quarterfinals. Maryland and Northwestern are about 15 minutes behind this game and the Michigan-Ohio State game, so I'm not sure what happened there. Hopefully not an injury situation. Hopefully it's something else.
Shaping up to be a drama-filled next, I don't know, half hour or so on the clock in the Big Ten quarterfinals. Matty Acosta comes up to receive it and now plays it out wide. Here's Avila trying to bend it back in, but Carter Abbott read it the whole way and now sets up Wisconsin to head the other way.
Abbott started to move before that ball was delivered by Avila. He saw what Pablo was trying to do and wanted to do, and he was off his line early.
Can feel the nervous tension building at Ursac. Mostly Rutgers supporters, a few Wisconsin as well. And no golden goal in college soccer anymore, but this might be that kind of moment as we hit the final few moments of regulation now. Tio contentious to dump it forward. Syverson.
Wow. I was a bit shocked that he didn't unleash one there. It's only about 30 yards out, and he can really drive the ball.
Same. Instead, calming the pace of play here. Bialik. Haven't seen a lot of Tim Bialik on the ball here in this second half.
Wisconsin right now, though, this possession, playing good football, and they're forcing Rutgers to move a bit, and Tio has really defended well on this side.
Well, that's 5 or 10 minutes. That's at least the third time now that Tio's won back possession for Rutgers, and does it with 2.5 minutes to go. As Myers again comes back into the play and just does something to try to create some offense with that little heel flick that set up Acosta to be fouled.
Syverson, if there were ever a tactical foul, that was it right there to hold off Acosta and prevent Rutgers from advancing. He's on a yellow.
Rutgers, for the first time ever, the 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Trying to move on as Abbott punches it away and recovers quickly. 100 seconds from overtime. Divisio, service, short of Myers. Now the center backs are forward here. The last 2 guys back are the midfielders, Crothers and Acosta. Tense moments. It'll go for a Rutgers throw in under a minute to go. And now Rutgers retreating. Divisio with 30. And Rutgers not in a great rush here as Wisconsin presses a little bit. Abbey turns the corner, tries to explode forward. Myers clips it. Here's Acosta. Myers gets it back, trying to get a strike, and he's worked off the ball. Now Avila, it's knocked away with 10 seconds. Right by the goal line. Wipe it out. It's a foul against Rutgers. Rutgers caused the last moment havoc it might have hoped there. But the foul wipes it off. Abbott with good positioning, and we are going to head to overtime.
A lot happened there. It was Myers, though, only about 8 yards from goal, contested, just trying to worm his way into any position where he could get a left-footed or right-footed drive off. He was waiting. He was patient as he was trying to fight for position. And then Avila drives one across the face of goal. It's deflected high into the air, and then the foul on the keeper. And they've done throughout the year, starting with preseason to get yourself fit, and then how the sports scientists and physical performance coaches have taken care of their athletes to make sure that they're at their freshest and purest and in their best shape right at this moment of the season. We'll see who manages it best.
Again, with the way the two RPIs stack up, it is truly one team advances to Wednesday's semifinal match, and the other team goes home, season over, undisputedly. So that is what is at stake as we get started for the first of the guaranteed 2 overtime periods. 10 minutes, we'll pause, and we'll play 10 minutes head to the opposite direction. A Rutgers team that earned its highest ever finish in the Big Ten regular season under fourth-year head coach Jim McElderry. It was a regular season breakthrough, and now trying to carry that wave into the postseason. For Wisconsin, mentioned that late winning streak to get to the playoffs under first-year head coach Neil Jones in sort of the formative stages of that program's building, but this would be a big early milestone for the Badgers. Also have to acknowledge, too, that this is part of the 4 quarterfinal night that we have in the Big Ten. We thought that there could be several overtime games with the way things stood after an hour of play. Well, we've got 2 final scores already. Ohio State, a 90th minute goal to defeat Michigan State 1-0. And so the winner of this will play the Buckeyes. If it's Rutgers, it'll be here at Yersack. If it's Wisconsin, that game will be in Columbus. Now also, Indiana, a 1-0 final over Penn State in a tough 4-5 game. And they'll play the winner of Maryland Northwestern. The Terrapins, the 1 seed, now have a 1-0 lead, 83rd minute. So this is the only one left without a goal. Now Rutgers seem to have the edge in the final 5 or 10 minutes of regulation as Myers heads it to Abbey, but he strikes it off the side netting. Now Rutgers trying to continue with that momentum.
Well, as you can see from the camera angle as well, that's an acute angle that Abbey had, but certainly not extraordinary to the extent that he wouldn't be able to score from that. But if you strike it with your right foot, then all bets are off. That was really going to be difficult for him. He needed a really little incept drive off the half volley with the left. That was his only chance maybe to get it on frame.
Erie Barron distributing it out wide to Mitchell Dryden. That hard run here from Ryan Keefe. Well done by Abbey to intercept. Wisconsin tracking 10 guys back here in transition. And so Temple will take it out here for a throw-in.
Well, credit to Wisconsin and their head coach Neil Jones, where they changed systems. They changed shape about midway through the season, or a little past then, when you just weren't getting results. They were playing a 3-4-3, and they changed to a 4.
Acosta drives it wide.
4-4-2, which, look, each team likes to have a couple of different, or even up to three maybe, shapes or systems, in the bag, in their back pocket, so they could go to plan B and plan C, maybe even during the course of a game, just tactically. But a college season is so compact, there's so little time to train once the season gets underway. So the ability to switch to that four-back system and get it in a way where it's coordinated and you've got the players in the right spots, and it obviously worked for Wisconsin. And do credit, though, because you don't see a lot of teams doing that, changing their primary shape.
And not with the effectiveness that Wisconsin found out of nowhere in the middle of the season. Here's a takeaway in the midfield. Bialik plays it out for Dryden. And now it's Rutgers trying to recover defensively, and they're able to with help from Zielinski. Now you go back to the low point of this Wisconsin season. Now, not long after they played Rutgers, the first match of October, lost 1-0 at home to Michigan State. And Wisconsin at that point was 3-5-1 overall, winless, 0-3 in the Big Ten. Since that point, it has been a U-turn to close. 3 wins and a draw in the final 5 conference games. That was the big driving force to get them here.
Tio's had a massive game defensively on this left side, the near side for us, the number 3 at the back for Rutgers. And primarily, Wisconsin has had their greatest success on the right side of the pitch. And here comes another switch of the field to do just that.
Dryden, and once again, Tio's right there. But it stays in for Dryden, who knocks it off of Acosta. Corner kick. And every time Wisconsin gets a set piece, we have to mention Aaron Ellie-Syverson.
Into the game for
Yep.
Wisconsin, number 9,
Good left
Nazi
foot, very
Marty.
strong, can bend it in, really serves it with ease. If anybody's joined the broadcast at overtime, I've already said my piece about him being 6'5" and not in the middle of a corner kick, not at the top of the 6 trying to win the air game, but he delivers a wonderful ball. And it's created havoc a number of times.
Syverson again places it inside the final 6 yards. But again, Rutgers defends it well. I don't think Wisconsin's had a legit scoring chance off of the 5 corner kicks. As Abbey gets run over, and the referee says, get up.
Well, there's not a chance the referee actually could see what may have happened, which was maybe an arm to the head. I don't think anything too dramatic.
Yeah, it certainly fueled things that it happened right in front of Rutgers' bench.
Yeah, there were some articulations of a sort.
That's one way to frame it. Ignacy Marquez, who's been a key player off the bench tonight. He's wound up playing 55 minutes off the bench. Bialik, bending ball. Dalton knocks it away, and the rebound cleared from the box. Three saves tonight for Kieran Dalton, the Big Ten all-freshman teamer, and 4 saves for his counterpart, Carter Abbott.
And as will often happen in overtime, but especially at this point of the season, a lot of minutes played by a lot of the players on the pitch. It's a little sloppy here as we enter the final couple of minutes of the first overtime.
Some room to operate here for Acosta, but just a heavy touch on it, and runs out of room quickly.
And that might be an example. Acosta's put in a lot of miles tonight. Would love to see his GPS statistics. We saw him a moment ago defending along this right side, and now all of a sudden he's up in the attack, but that last touch got away from him.
Each side, not including the keeper, has had 7 players play the full time And Acosta's one of them for Rutgers.
Dalton never felt comfortable with that distribution. Got it to his feet, couldn't get it out from underneath his body properly.
Shot blocked by DeVizio. Good velocity on it from Keenan.
1 minute remaining in the first overtime period. 1 minute.
You can hear the announcement. Already through 9 minutes of extra time. Still in search of a goal.
Well, that's Chandler playing it safe. Avila was bearing down. Not sure what the discussion is here, but Rutgers is losing seconds off the clock. Well, now the clock has stopped. During this discussion, at least the initial stages of it, the clock continued to wind down.
Clock remains paused at 24 seconds here.
The referee gave the substitution sign. There's no one with the fourth official, or maybe that was to reset the clock. Maybe they're going to adjust it because that clock did go down while the play was stopped.
And neither side seems happy. Rutgers that the clock was running, and Wisconsin that the clock was stopped at one point. And now
they're
it's
putting it back to 35. So Neil Jones is saying, I think that's too much. I think he might be right.
Now what can Rutgers do with these final 25 seconds now? Temple gets the rebound. Myers again back to goal as he's played most of the night. And Wisconsin with 15 sends it towards the corner, and we are going to head to a second overtime.
Well, my bet is that Aaron Syverson has seen that on film maybe 50 times. That is Jackson Temple playing it into MD Myers and looking to get it back on the combination. He defended that very well, and now it's on to the second overtime.
100 minutes, not enough. We've seen all three of the other quarterfinal matches in the Big Ten go final, but this one still needs 10 more minutes to be decided. Now, if we don't find a goal after the next 10 minutes, we're going to a penalty kick, but Glenn will keep it here. We've got a minute and a half to go before the second OT. I mean, is there anything you saw in those?
And then you have to use this. If it goes past 10, you have to use the same 10, but you can change up the order of those 10. In the past, you had to put the second 10, which is, they had to go in the same order. So there's some changes here, but I hope somebody wins it here.
Yeah, second 10 PKs. I don't know if we have the fingernails left for that. Now Rutgers with the first possession. Myers aiming for Avila, but the seniors can't link up there.
The San Diego State women just won in their conference tournament, winning on penalties 19-18.
Oh, my.
And I have to tell you, that's the only reason I know about the new rule, because I looked it up and I said, how does this work?
Wow.
And one player for San Diego State converted all three of her penalties. Imagine that. But I want to look more into that. Did she take it? Did she put it in the same spot each time? Did she adjust? When you take it that many times, penalties are intriguing. There's little question of that. And
well, if that's the instance, the instance here, brace yourself. That's the question. It takes a deflection. Tio's got it in front of him, and he'll play it forward. Rutgers out shooting Wisconsin for basically the entire night. Right now, the margin 13-9. 4 on target from Rutgers, 2 from Wisconsin. Of course, all of those saved. Ian Abbey, good burst off the bench. He's being held here, still persists, no whistle.
He'll bring it back now. Oh, my word.
No. And now Abbey's going to go on the book as he voices his displeasure.
Yeah,
Elliot Popkowitz was along for the ride there, box to box.
Yeah, the referee did poor here. That was he was trying to see. He was ready to call the foul, but he wanted to see if Rutgers got any sort of advantage And when they didn't, that should have been brought back. Even though it seemed like it was several seconds past the foul, which it was, but that's the proper way to manage it. You bring it back. I think the referee's been solid tonight, but that was a difficult moment.
And Dimitrios Katsamingos. I'll go chat with the Rutgers skipper, Jim McKelladry.
Rutgers, number 20, Ian Abbey.
And what the referee is saying, I can't read lips because I can't even see his lips moving, but he's saying to Jim McKelladry, well, did you want the foul? What if you, if I let the play continue and you scored a goal? Would you have been happy? You know, that kind of thing. That's the way referees will interact on that sort of thing. What if it worked out for you?
Right.
That's why I let it go. But he could still have brought that one back. Because of the obvious stage. Yeah, because Abby took one more touch and did try to pass. It was intercepted, so no advantage. Nonetheless, we continue.
That's Myers coming back towards the ball near midfield. He's tried his best to get involved. He does have a shot on target. Came in the later stages of the second half. Wisconsin's defense, of course, it's a shutout. Both defenses deserve praise, but particularly for Wisconsin, they've been able to contain this Rutgers Big Ten leading offense.
That they have. Great credit to them. They've got a little over 7 minutes now to see if they can keep Myers off the scoreboard. We'll see.
Acosta. Oh, trying to run that in for Avila. And it was knocked away by Popkowitz. It does go for a corner, but if Abby and Avila linked up, it was nothing but green grass there for the Spaniard. And it will be the super senior Avila to take the corner kick. Outside of the 6. Kneed away for a moment by Drew Brown, and Wisconsin does well on the first attempt. A second one as well. Clearance there from Marquez. And then Rutgers commits a foul.
Inadvertent, but not much you can do about that. Not sure why the clock stopped.
I guess Abbott was taking a bit too long to take this. That's
Perhaps.
my only guess.
Well, if I'm Wisconsin, I'm not, like, disappointed if it gets to penalties. But, look, they have a chance here.
It's Dryden, edge of the 18. And now Popkowitz. Marquez has had a great night.
Great close down by Carruthers to force the ball negative. Bialik was desperate to get forward and could not.
Halfway through the second overtime. Still no score. Comes out wide. Keenan curls it off the defender, Tio. And it goes for a Wisconsin corner now.
And we got Bialik with a calf thing going on. No question this is a cramp. As soon as he played that ball, he went down, and the agony of the calf cramp. You ever wake up in the middle of the night with one of those, Dom?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the one thing worth mentioning, you mentioned cramps. By not playing overtime in the regular season, the players are not accustomed to doing this. It's been a year since they've gone this far into a match.
No question. The theory is that though they're not used to it, but they'll be fresher and have more because they've had less of a game load.
Syverson curls it short of the 6. Look at a second chance. This one more slicing. And it comes popping over the goal. And it's a goal kick. There was a chance there for Marquez by the near post from that vantage point, but couldn't do anything with it.
So interesting, Rutgers, Acosta in particular, had a chance maybe to go try to close down Syverson and deny the service or alter it a little bit, but both he and one of his teammates, I couldn't quite clearly see, instead dropped into the area. So Rutgers was just intent on really defending that service and the subsequent second ball, and it worked out well.
Now, Glenn, you've mentioned that you were at practice yesterday with this Rutgers team and watched them work on set pieces for a long time, and at least defensively, over the first 106 minutes, it's paid off.
Yeah, no question. It's something that at times maybe coaches, they endeavor to spend more time on set pieces, but then end up, again, the time commitment to what you're working on and how you're preparing. But match day -1, where you don't want to do that much anyway in terms of real physical, hard tackling, that sort of thing. Just patterns and set pieces.
Wisconsin works it to the right side. Keefe drives a hard ball into the box towards the back post. Oh, it was dangerous. Now the Badgers unlucky they couldn't get there. Dryden was there, and, well, they couldn't get there because Rutgers had the last touch. And another corner upcoming. That Rutgers corner defense tested once more.
Pretty important touch by DeVizio there on a ball that skipped through. Deflected header. Really well orchestrated by Wisconsin. They changed the point with some good firm deliveries on the deck with their holding midfielders, and then a quality service in.
It's steered towards goal. Oh, and it's just cleared wide. A second try upcoming here. It was a little flick header at the top of the 6.
Rutgers appealing that they didn't get a touch on it, which is unfortunate to begin with. They need to get the first header and then be alert for the second.
That'll be Max Keenan again, the all-Big Tenner on the corner. Back post now, and Rutgers surely there first with Zielinski. And he was fouled too.
And Syverson involved in this corner kick. So when the corners are to the right of the keeper, Dalton, they use the in-swinger with the right footer, and then he's in the area. When it's on the opposite side, he's taking him with the left.
Less than 90 seconds separating us from penalty kicks. The 2-seed Rutgers, the Scarlet Knights' best ever in the Big Ten. The 7-seed Wisconsin, even for 109 minutes. But still time. And some space here as Avila drives forward and links up with Myers. Myers gets a boot on it, and Carter Abbott had it the whole way. His 5th save of the night.
Myers got a lot of pace on that, though, considering where he was at. I was surprised he got the shot off past Popkowitz, fullback on this side, but never a danger to Abbott, to be certain.
Both teams hoping for just one more chance. As Abby drives it to the corner. And the tired legs of Myers get bumped from behind, it appears. We have no whistle. The ball goes out of play.
It's going to be called a corner kick. There was no question it was a foul, but the referee chose the corner option. And here you go.
Countdown on. Clock not stopped. Avila takes it with 3. LeGuenic got a forehead on it. couldn't direct it towards goal, and we are headed to penalty kicks in his Big Ten tournament quarterfinal. It was a rush at the end of the second OT. It seemed like Myers was fouled. Rutgers with a chance on a corner, but in the end, 110. Not enough, Glenn.
No, and defend.
The vet versus the youngin to start penalty kicks. And Ibarra nets it. 1-0 Wisconsin.
Well, he had Dalton guessing the wrong way. And as he approached, whether he saw Dalton move early, but that's a well-drilled penalty to open things up for Wisconsin.
And it will be the Spaniard for Rutgers now. Their own captain, Pablo Avila. Squares it up and goes to the same side as Erie Barron did. Level at 1 after round 1.
Well, two different kind of penalties as Avila gives some encouragement to his young keeper, Dalton. The first one was more placed. It was hit firm, but it was more placed. Pablo Avila drilled it into the upper corner to his left to beat the keeper.
Well, the role of captains continues here. Round 2. And it's Tim Bialik for Wisconsin.
Penalty kick for Wisconsin, number 10, Tim Bialik.
Approaches, shoots, and it's stopped. Oh, it's a one-paw save for Kieran Dalton. And Rutgers gains an advantage in the second round.
That is a wonderful save because Dalton was diving to his right, and Bialik elected to hit it straight up the middle, and the trail arm with the left palm, a big save for Dalton. That was impressive on that penalty.
Can Rutgers capitalize? They use their other super senior, Tommy DeVizio, the longest tenured player. Quickly takes and fires it in. I don't even think Carter Abbott was ready. But Tommy DeVizio was. He wants to keep playing some Rutgers soccer. 2-1 Rutgers after 2.
Well, all three penalties have been taken to the keeper's right, the shooter's left. Now we've got a left footer, and let's see how he goes at it.
It's Aaron Ellie Syverson. 2-1 Rutgers into the third round of PKs. And it's perfect there from Syverson. Dalton the one way, and Syverson, we know what he can do with the left foot.
Dalton left early to his left, and that's a confident PK from the Reykjavik native Syverson. And certainly mighty important to keep things going. Rutgers trying to maintain their lead.
MD Myers now. And it's in. Right side, the same way that Carter Abbott was leaning, but the unanimous Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year comes through, and it's 3-2 Rutgers into the fourth round now.
A little different there from Abbott. He maybe was trying to deke Myers a bit. He shuffled to his right. Myers saw that and then pushed it, opened up and pushed it with the inside of his right foot. But Abbott could not recover in time to save that. And, well, that's a professional finish from MD Myers.
Max Keenan next up for Wisconsin, who need to continue with their makes. And again, it's in. And once again, Wisconsin goes to the left from their vantage point to strike it. Badgers now leaning on Carter Abbott, their junior keeper, to come up with a stop.
It's 3-3 now in penalties. Rutgers now here at the bottom of the fourth. And the kicker is Acosta to, again, maintain the lead for Rutgers.
The sophomore scored his first career goal just 2 weeks ago. A slow approach. Staggers and scores just past the outstretched fingertips of Carter Abbott, who can't believe it. He guessed right, just couldn't get there, and now Rutgers is on the brink of advancing. 4-3 to the fifth.
The stutter step, Dom, might have just, for a moment, caused Abbott to freeze, but he guessed the right way. But Acosta hit that so firm. That's a penalty finish. Extraordinary.
Rutgers needs one more favorable result in this round to advance to host Ohio State in the semifinals. Between the Scarlet Knights, and that is Ignacy Marquez, who had a great match off the bench. He needs to make this to keep the Wisconsin season alive. And he chips it in. Oh, cheeky from Marquez.
Well, we wondered if any of the boys on the pitch tonight would have the temerity to do a Panenka. Well, we saw it right there. With the season on the line, the Spaniard Marquez shoots a Panenka. That is brave. I'll leave it at that. There are a number of other adjectives that come to mind.
Yeah. Wow. And now Wisconsin needs a stop. Jackson Temple, the senior for Rutgers, can send them to the semifinals. Approaches, strikes and scores! And Rutgers men's soccer is headed to the Big Ten semifinals. 5-4 in 5 thrilling rounds of penalty kicks. The Scarlet Knights move on.
Well, the hero through this, look, when you go 5 for 5 in penalties and your keeper comes up with a save, that gets it done. Tim Bialik was the second shooter for Wisconsin, and Kieran Dalton was up to the task. Dalton guessed right. Bialik played it more up the middle. It was maybe slightly off center, played it more up the middle, and the